I'll give it another minute or two just to see if there's anyone else filtering in. But I know we're going to be pushed for time, so we won't leave it too long. Just making sure my slides are moving. Sometimes they misbehave, but they seem to be working all right at the moment. Right, I make it just gone 10 o'clock, so I think we will get started. A big welcome to everyone that's made it along today to our Wellbeing at Work webinar this July. I can't believe it's been 3 months since the last one, to be totally honest, but time's kind of flying by. My name is Greg Price, Health Improvement Manager at the Wellbeing team at Live Well Southwest, and it's fab to see you all join us today for our webinar on healthy eating and exercise in the workplace. We've had lots of people booked on to today's session. Obviously a popular one that people want to know more about, learn more about. And we've got a couple of excellent speakers joining us today, both from the Wellbeing team as well, which I'll introduce in a bit. But if we just quickly look through the housekeeping bits so everyone's happy with what we're doing. Obviously, the session is being recorded. So with that in mind, if people would prefer not to have their cameras on, that's fine. But it is lovely to see everyone. So if you're happy to have your face recorded, then please keep those cameras on. Occasionally, Shawnee might take the odd picture that we use for kind of like social media and kind of information that goes out to promote the webinars. Please do your best to keep your mics on mute. Obviously, there'll be points in the presentations or points at the end of the presentations where we'll be taking questions. And in those circumstances, just pop your virtual hand up. And then that way you can kind of ask your questions and take your mics off mute. Obviously, there's the chat bar as well. If you get questions that pop into your mind as the individual's going through their slides, you can always pop the question in the chat bar and people can kind of like come back to that once the presentation's finished. Once we finish today, all of the information, all of the presentations will be sent out to people. So please don't worry that you're going to miss out on anything. And obviously that information and the recording can be passed on to colleagues or individuals that you know wanted to be here this morning but weren't able to make it. Just a quick run through on what we're going to do. In a minute, I'm going to pass across to Bex, who's an advanced health improvement practitioner from the Wellbeing team as well, works in the falls prevention team, and she's going to take us through some really interesting information around just moving more and the benefits that it can have on us all. After Bex, we're going to pass across to Di, who's a health improvement practitioner, again, from the Wellbeing team, and she's going to take us through some information around healthy eating in the workplace. Hopefully, time-wise, we'll have an opportunity to ask any questions at the end of those presentations, and also just have a kind of an open discussion around healthy eating and exercise and the impact it can have on our colleagues kind of in our places of work. And then right at the end, I'll just give a quick update around the Wellbeing at Work team and a few things that we've been up to and a few things we've got coming up. And hopefully, if I've done a good enough job, we'd have stayed to time and we can all go off and stretch our legs at 11:30 and practice what we preach. So I think, yeah, what I will do is I will stop sharing a screen and I will pass you across to Bex for a bit of information about moving more. So over to you, Bex. Thank you. You're on mute. Sorry, Bex. Don't worry. I've done it a million times.
Thank you, Greg. Smooth transition here as I come across to this. Thumbs up, please. Is everyone receiving the visuals on that? Thank you. Good morning, folks. My name is Bex Townley. As Greg said, I'm very part-time within the Live Well Falls Prevention team. I'm an advanced health improvement practitioner in this role. My full-time employ is with a national learning and education organisation that delivers training to health professionals, care professionals, exercise professionals, volunteers around the theme of falls prevention. I'm going to say that is the overarching theme. It's the broader agenda, and then within that, are the move more messages, physical activity, moving into structured exercise. And I've packaged up this session today. I've called it Here Today, Share Tomorrow, because I hope there are nuggets of information that will either be ready for you to deploy within your role, or actually just to spark conversations, to change conversations and start to at least plant seeds to support perhaps behaviour change. So I've called it Evidence into Practice, 3 themes in 30 minutes, about 10 minutes each on 3 specific themes. But they are just 10 minutes. So it really is a whistle-stop tour with the hope that, if nothing else, it just sparks interest and maybe a shift in your current thoughts around what normal aging is and the impact that just moving more can have, the positive impact. I'm acknowledging Dawn Scouten here, who's the Professor of Ageing at Glasgow Caledonian University and a colleague of mine in the rest of my work. What you hear from me today is coming from places of research and credibility. You're not getting my opinions and my thoughts. You're getting factual messages that are out there, that are in guidance, that guidance of which is really designed to support us as professionals to disseminate and deploy this at every opportunity. In the name of engagement and reflective practice, I invite you to grab a piece of paper and keep a note of the following things. Any new information, just write that down. Perhaps, for sure, you're going to hear from me reinforcement of information already known to you. Write that down. Are there any revelations? And is there anything you'd like to know more about? And I just present this as an opportunity to kind of tally up where you're at with the information I'm about to present to you. And you know, I do like to ask you at the end what the tally is. Questions in the chat box, if I can't answer them today, as Greg has said, via email. So maybe I invite you to write those things down if you would like, and just to kind of really hear the key points that are pricking up your ears that you think could be of value to you. Here are the 3 themes in 30 minutes. Physical activity, physical fitness and sedentary behaviour. Consider this a continuum of movement, but they're all different. It helps us to understand those differences so that we can then deploy messages accordingly. We're listing out for current understanding and perceptions, perhaps from not only people that you support at work, but colleagues. We're here talking about well-being in the workplace, and actually sedentary behaviour arguably is at the heart of that message over and above structured exercise. That doesn't mean anything unless we're really clear about the differences between these things. It helps us just to pick through what the research is saying. Point 2 might be a bit contentious. Why walking isn't enough? Question mark. And 5 things to know about falls prevention. I'm here representing the Live Well Falls Prevention team today, so it's a shameless plug to really get falls prevention on all of our agendas. Falls prevention is everyone's business, and you will have friends, family, loved ones who are older than you, and it's all about altering and changing and shifting trajectories of aging, which starts with perceptions, attitudes and beliefs about what that looks like. If I start talking quick, it's because I know I've only got 30 minutes and I get a bit excitable about these things. All right, physical activity and physical fitness are not the same. I wonder, would you be able to describe the differences between these? Just, I'm not suggesting you do that in the chat, but in your mind, what are the differences? If someone were to say to you, well, you know, I do enough physical activity. Oh yeah, but what does that exactly mean? They're not the same, but they both involve movement. I'm going to pick through the key differences here. Being physically active requires us to have movement available to us, doesn't it? Whether I'm going shopping, doing the garden, doing the housework, walking the dog, fixing something in the garden or the shed, all of those things require our physical activity, and they require me to move. However, if I'm unable to mow the lawn, walk the dog, get into the garage, the shed, if I'm unable to do those things because my movement is hindered, well, now I need to train something specifically. So the key difference is physical activity is any movement, any contraction of skeletal muscle that is going to expend energy. But actually physical fitness is the detail. It's the mobility, it's the cardiovascular fitness, it's the strength and the balance. And all of those things can be trained specifically via structured exercise. So with sufficient and specific stimulus, and by that I mean a balance challenge to progress balance, a load and resistance to get back strength gains. All of these components of fitness can be improved by structured exercise. So that's fundamentally at the heart of the difference here. So just advocating and supporting people to be more physically active, yes, yes, yes. Something is always better than nothing, that more is better. But if I'm unable, or I'm starting to feel that I'm limited to do those physical activities that I used to enjoy, this is where structured exercise comes in. Okay, what can we do to retrain mobility, balance, strength? We drill down to these components of physical fitness in order to be able to enjoy our physical activity. Here's the thing, here's a key message, regardless where we all are, where any of us are on our movement continuum, we'll come to that in a moment. Some of you may already be attending structured exercise sessions or gyms, or being physically active, or walking the dog, or doing a park run, or all those things. What's significant to understand for all of us, regardless of age and current physical fitness levels, is that when that training stimulus stops, the gains stop. And reversibility is a key principle of physical fitness. When we stop doing stuff, we lose the ability to do stuff. When we stop exerting force and resistance through muscles, muscles get weaker. When we spend long periods of time in sitting positions on webinars and doing stuff, all seated sedentary behavior accelerates loss of performance, regardless of age. So a key message here, and this is really significant, isn't it, within therapy teams and rehab settings, myself and colleagues within the fall prevention team. It's why we continually see the same individuals coming back through the service. They have input, they get stimulus, they get training, they get support, they're discharged, they go home, the stimulus stops, everything returns. And that's exactly the same for all of us, regardless of age. It's relative to our current levels of physical fitness and exercise. When stuff stops, stuff stops. Okay, so some maybe a quiz, if you would like. A quiz with the answers, actually. Yes, I forgot what presentation I was delivering here. Did you know? It's not a quiz, it's a did you know. From the age of 40, I don't know who's on the call, but just saying, from the age of 40, adults lose 8% of their muscle mass per decade. Per decade. So if you think where you're at now currently, if you imagine your skeleton and your musculoskeletal system, wherever you're currently at now with your muscle mass, and remember the muscle mass is the stuff that gets you up the stairs, out of bed, down the slopes. It's the stuff that keeps you moving. From the age of 40, we're going to lose 8% of that every decade. So maybe picture yourself and go, okay, where am I going to be in a decade time, in 2 decades time? Our biggest window of opportunity to shift and alter our trajectory of normal aging is now. Absolutely. If we're in midlife, now. Actually, we've already missed the boat on bone density. That's set by our late 20s. So we are what we eat and how we move. It's that simple. So I'm going to go on in a minute when I talk about sedentary behavior. In the workplace, arguably, this could be the highlight, the headline to really support trajectories of aging moving forward. Here's a visual to kind of exemplify this, right? On the right hand side, can everyone see those 3 sets of circles? Would anyone like to hazard a guess at what we're looking at here? What are they? Any suggestions? I'll keep talking while you have a look at that. Aging affects all components of physical fitness, for sure. Normal aging, your body systems go through a process of aging, and change happens over time. Of course, there is another trajectory of that isn't normal aging. Falls are not a normal consequence of aging, and neither are long-term conditions. They're more prevalent for sure, but we certainly want to avoid to be saying at all costs, what do you expect at your age? And actually more significant perhaps when people say to us, I expect it at my age. That's the point where we kind of have that moment of enhancing, planting a seed, increasing physical literacy in order to shift and change attitudes and beliefs. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Melanie. It's 3 sets of thighs. What you're looking at is cross section of thighs. You've got the white bits of the femur in the middle. Which set of thighs would you like to get you up the stairs is my question, which pretty much exemplifies what I'm trying to say here. There's another message here. The top set are of a 40-year-old triathlete. The bottom set are of a 70-year-old triathlete. So age is of no consequence when it comes to muscle training. We need to train differently and smarter and specifically for sure, but assuming there's no presence of disease, muscles will get stronger. And even with long-term conditions, we can halt decline, we can, yes, get stronger, but of course there are other processes that are going to impede that muscle strength process. Okay, so year on year, I've given you the 10-decade statistic for muscle mass, but here's another way of packaging this up. Year on year, from mid to late 30s, we are heading for a 1 to 2% plus decline in our functional ability every single year. In strength, power, flexibility, endurance, balance, coordination, mobility, and bone density. What we're essentially looking at here are those physical fitness components that I mentioned earlier. The key difference between physical activity and physical fitness is that we can target each of these things to elicit gain, to get stronger, to feel more confident, to improve coordination, etc. And the more we do that now, in our midlife now, the better prepared we are for the challenges of aging. Next key message, gentle exercise doesn't keep us stronger and balanced. Neither does asking people to be careful and to go slower. Actually, living into later years is not gentle. There is nothing gentle about being 85. And it's akin to training Olympic athletes. When we're working with frailer older people who are right on that cusp of physical function, gentle doesn't cut it. Seated exercise doesn't cut it. They need change, and they need change now. So these are key messages of language to shift. It's not about gentle, it's not about easy, it's all about supporting, improving optimum potential with aging. So there's a huge change of narrative required for this to happen. So the key message, I think, for the audience here is that we are all on a path. We're all going to age. The decisions we make now can majorly shift those trajectories of aging. And if we consider that, yes, we want to increase our physical activity, but what about the physical fitness components? If I can train those, retrain those, my physical activity experiences are going to be more enjoyable, and I'll have more choices of what I want to be doing. This slide just kind of exemplifies that, really. If you consider physical activity and physical fitness to be the chicken and the egg, which bit comes first? Where's the start point? And quite often, as we start to lose mobility over time, the message is, yes, move more is the start of the journey, is the critical start of the journey. Move more frequently, achieve physical activity guidelines. But if I can specifically train these components of fitness, I'm going to be able to be more capable with all my activities of daily living. The infographic here, the one you're looking at on the middle one, the physical activity guidelines. My question here, I mean, I could do a whole 30 minutes on this. I wonder, how familiar are you with the messages within this infographic? If we're talking about well-being in the workplace or health-related changes and messages over time. These really are the messages. This is the research that informs our accurate messaging or not. And you'll see that minimizing sedentary behavior is right there in the bottom left, is the yellow. There's key messages here. Something's better than nothing. More is better. It's never too late to start. Every minute counts. And minimize sedentary time. This relates to all activities, all adults and older adults over the age of 65. Okay, sedentary behavior is going to get us all, and is the one simple thing we can all make different choices about. I'm not going to go through the aerobic message and the strength and the balance here, but just suffice to say, if we are having conversations with individuals that we support as part of our services and teams, we have a responsibility to be deploying accurate messages. All of the accurate messages around physical activity are embedded here in these guidelines. Over and above that, if there's requirement for rehabilitation or structured exercise or evidence-based exercise programs, we're then reaching into more specifics of guidelines of exercise prescription. That's how these things are connected. Sedentary behaviour, next theme. People over 60 spend up to 80% of their waking day sitting down. And I don't think we need to be over 60 to be doing that. If you think about your work day, if you think about your drive-in, your drive home, your work day, and all of those things. Again, it's just a snapshot. I'm just dropping in the ocean these thoughts to spark conversations, to change narratives and attitudes and thoughts. And there's something significant here about sedentary behaviour, that those at the lowest level of function, those at the very start of their physical activity journey, have the most to gain from changing their sedentary behaviours. So it's not just about exercise. I think that's really significant, and I appreciate that it was only on a slide, Greg, but well-being and exercise in the workplace, I want to shift that. I want to go, oh, hang on a minute, exercise switches people off, and actually it's not the start point for many, and there's many things we can do within our working day that isn't exercise, especially not if I don't want to hear that word, because there's many people for many reasons that go, I can't exercise. No, okay, I understand that, I hear that. Is it important for you to move? Is it important for you to be able to continue to get out of that chair, walk around your own home, walk around this working space, getting up and down? Okay, now we've shifted the narrative, because it's not about exercise. It's about something much broader than that. And if we can identify where we are in our movement journey, we're better at deploying a message. We're hearing what someone is saying, going, okay, what's the start point? What could work for you then? Here's some, again, just some information about prolonged sedentary behaviour. It's coming from a place of physiology. Loads of stuff happens when we don't move. And here's some of them. Of course, when this happens for long periods of time over time, and we get decline in mobility and movement, then you get that vicious circle of the less I move, the weaker I get. Therefore, when I do move, the greater my risk of falls. That's kind of where we're at when we're in talking frailty and falls prevention. But these effects of prolonged sedentary behaviour relate to all of us, regardless of age. Here's some more. If you can look at these statistics and these percentages of how our frail older people are spending their time in settings of care and rehabilitation, it's really quite shocking. 85% of the time is spent in seated positions, upright for 70 minutes a day in rehab wards, 8.3 on stroke wards. There's loads of work going on around supporting individuals in hospital around moving more. You may have heard of the PJ paralysis campaign. Loads of work that we're doing, other areas of my work and projects, Care to Move, all these studies and pieces of research designed to support people in hearing and really believing that actually just sitting less and moving more can be the start of my physical activity journey. Those at the lowest level of function have the most to gain from the least amount of input. If you consider your working day, What's it going to take for you to really have a look at how much time you're spent sat down, driving, going home, that unless we're really prepared to look at that, we can't really start to see how easy it is to break up those bouts of sedentary time. Here's some more stuff around the research for sit less, move more. The research tells us that those that break up their sitting time, the fidgeters, so it's not just about reducing the overall time. It's not about going, okay, well, this is how I work. I haven't got a standing desk. This is my role. It requires me to sit. Okay, well, then just break it up. If you can't reduce it, break it up. LIPA is light intensity physical activity. That's what's referring to there. And MVPA is moderate to vigorous physical activity. The light stuff is really significant. We can't be expected to be doing moderate and vigorous physical activity around our workplace. That's not appropriate. We might do if we decide to take the stairs. But the light stuff also has value. We want a mix of all of it for sure. But you can see here just some headlines around the value and the benefits. Maybe sometimes if the message is so simple, people perhaps don't believe it or think it can't be significant. We can accumulate huge amounts of light physical activity across our week. That accumulation of crowbarring in additional movement minutes across the day really does get us off on the start journey, because when we start to feel better about that, it's further motivation to take the next step. All of this, whether we're talking about physical activity or nutrition, at the heart of all of this is supporting behaviour change. And any change of a routine requires us to really get to grips with. We're asking people to change. We're inviting people to change. So supporting those routines is key. I said just now that those at the lowest level of physical function have the most to gain. Here's the proof of that in this diagrammatic. So this is a dose response curve. Biggest gains for that beginning bit, right at the low bottom of sedentary. Okay, point 2, why walking isn't enough. Change of focus, same theme. Loads of promoting and advocating of walking. Yes, great, good. It's good for us. It's very good for us. But if you look at physical fitness components, it doesn't capture them all. Lots of other work we're doing around working with older adults, people in midlife also, and living with frailty, getting strength and balance on the radars of walking programs. Walking isn't enough if we want to maintain optimal strength and balance. I need strength and balance to walk, but when I'm in decline, I need to train strength and balance in order to keep walking. So there's opportunities here to crowbar in extra messages. So many people think or are of the opinion that, oh, I walk the dog every morning, that's enough. And then we go, yeah, but enough to do what? I wonder. Because unless I go through, push my body through different layers and levels and utilize my leg muscles to their full potential range of motion, I'll be able to walk, but I might not be able to use the stairs. I'll be able to walk, but I can't get up from the floor if I fall. My dad's a perfect example. Walks 3 times a day. He's 82. I caught him on one knee the other week trying to fix the fridge door. He couldn't get up. I won't tell you about the conversation we then had. So what components of fitness does walking train or require? You know, quite often in our walking programs, we risk assess all the challenge out of it. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but be mindful of what we're removing from balance challenge reactions and challenges. Yes, we need to risk assess walks, but if all we do is walk on a flat surface, look at what we're missing out on. We're missing out on all of this stuff that life throws at us. So for sure, there's additional considerations, perhaps more we can do within our walking programs to raise physical literacy, to better equip people to think about strength and balance as part of their successful age-related trajectory. All right, I'm on my 3rd thing. Oh my goodness, that's good. It's quick. 5 things about falls prevention. Here's the first one. It takes a child 1 year to acquire independent movement and 10 years to acquire independent mobility. An older person can lose both in a day. And I'm talking about the falls prevention agenda here. Older people fall. I don't know if any of you have had conversations. Long lies, they can't get up, on the floor for 8 hours, 15 hours, and especially now with the current situation with ambulance call outs, it's a perfect example of why walking isn't enough. Falls occur at all ages are an inevitable part of bipedal gait and physical activity. So we're all going to fall. Where, you know, we've got a narrow base, two little sticky things with a big body and heavy thing on top. So walking by very nature of bipedal gait means we are shifting our weight from one leg to the other. It requires us to be able to balance on one leg and then the other. So falls are going to occur at all ages, but actually it's how we respond to that fall and how we prepare for that challenge of life. Our window of opportunity is now. Wherever we are, it's never too late to start. The opportunity is now. Midlife now is the time to invest in your strength and balance. Falls are not a normal consequence of aging. Much more can be done to prevent falls. We know this. It's all over all of the guidance and just backing up by everything I've said today. So it's not okay to say what do you expect at your age. It's not okay. These are key messages from the physical activity guidelines infographic that I flashed up just now. For sure, when it comes to physical activity, something is always better than nothing. But to reduce falls, something is not enough. Seated exercise doesn't train standing balance. Huge shifts in messaging are required here. So if you have loved ones and family members that are feeling unsteady on their feet, standing is where the gains are at. Yes, for sure, there may be some seated alternatives that needs part of skill up, but just because I'm old, please don't send me to gentle exercise is all I'm saying. And the last one, a bit about us. If you want to know more about what we're doing, all our falls prevention work, email me, and you can get some self-referral information into Fame on the phone number there. And it might be that, again, you know people, or you have colleagues or people that you support. Send us an email, or they can get straight to the hub on that number. All right, thanks for listening. What's your tally? Maybe just a little bit now in the chat box, just a moment. New information, yes, no, reinforcement, revelations, I'd like to know more. Just give me a bit of a sense check on what you've heard. Thanks for listening. 2 minutes over time, Greg.
It's amazing, Bex. No, thank you so much. Time-wise is perfect, because don't forget, I took up the first 3 or 4 minutes, so you're on the money. But no, really thought-provoking. And like you said, if people have been taking a tally of those bits as they've been going through, then feel free to pop it in the chat bar. I know that you obviously delivered the presentation to our wellbeing team 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I certainly had tallies in all 4 of the areas. There was some new stuff, some reinforcement, and a few things that I definitely wanted to know a little bit more about. And you're absolutely right when you mentioned like changing that narrative. It's very easy for us just to kind of throw away exercise in the workplace, but like you said, a lot of people can be kind of scared off or think that exercise doesn't apply to them for whatever reasons. So I think hopefully people feel today they've got a few other ways of starting those conversations, whether it be with our friends and family, but also our colleagues, in our workplaces. Let's have an opportunity for a few questions. I know there was one in the chat bar as well, so we'll come back to that one as well. And then I know, Bex, you need to go ASAP, so then we'll release you in a few minutes if that's okay. Kelly, if you've got a quick question, jump in.
So I think I probably fall into the category of being very sedentary. I'm in my early 40s and I'm starting to get really worried now. What can I do to get to that point where I'm more physically fit, that exercise is more enjoyable?
Oh, across the screen now. Oh my goodness! Crikey! I'd love to have a better opportunity for a conversation with you. But I'm just gonna to say, if you've said the word, you've identified that you're sedentary. That is the start point. It really is the start point. So I don't know about your exercise history or physical activity. Everything about all of this starts with conversations. The conversation is key. So the first, and I'd be more than happy for you to email me to you know, so we can have a better one than this. But even if you just kept a tally on your desk, even if you set triggers, set alarms every hour on your phone, stand up, move around. We can't underestimate. I was saying here when I just said now that sometimes it's almost so simple that we dismiss it, and actually it, you know, every movement minute counts. And I'm not over egging that. There are physiological changes when we stand up, when you weight bear. So there's so many non-complex things that you can do in stand. But the first point of call is just stand up. Just stand up, just make a point of every single minute. Then in the work, you just go up and down, add in the stairs. I don't know how you you know that you support your own motivation, but have a log, have a physical record of that. See a visual thing on your piece of paper or on your phone. Set yourself up a tally chart. You know, and then before you know it, you look back and you go, right, okay, so I've stood up every hour. I've added 15 minutes to my day today. That means I've added what are you doing in your lunch hours? What are you doing in your breaks? What are you doing in those loo breaks? All of that. It just starts with that. It starts with that.
Okay. I'll have to come and talk to you as well.
Honestly, go on.
I was just going to say if it'd be helpful to know the criteria for the falls prevention team as well, perhaps for some of the other people here. Yes,
indeed. We can send you the links and the information and the posters we have for that. No problem.
Yeah, we can get that out in the kind of after webinar email for sure. The one quick question, if you're okay, Bex, before you go, that came up in the chat. In the workplace, do we need to look at functional capacity evaluation before prescribing fitness regimes?
We're not prescribing. This is really key about scope of practice here, right? This isn't physical fitness, this is movement. People are already walking, standing up, walking around the workplace, already in active sit. We're not prescribing anything here. We're advocating and promoting sit less, move more. Are you already standing up? Great. I'm not teaching you to do anything. I'm just saying the benefits of this is huge. So here's the information. I'm not prescribing. Here's the information. With that information, you are then better informed. Here's the research that backs up that information. Here's how you can make a change. Break up every hour, every minute. Add into there walking around the office. Add into that walking in your break. Add into that some extra sit to stands. So we're not prescribing anything, and we're not talking about physical fitness. We're talking about sit less, move more.
Fab. That's a good, simple message to take away and remember, isn't it? So that's brilliant. No, thank you, Bex. There's a few more messages filtering in, but I'm very aware that I know you need to get off. There's one just there looking to get the graphic in the middle of the presentation, the chicken and the egg. I mean, again, all the slides will be sent out, and if there's a way we can't draw it out, then I'm sure we'll be able
Greg,
to find it.
You've got the slide deck. You can send that to everyone, can't you?
Yeah, we can definitely do that, so people will get that attached to the to the email that goes out. But no, thank you again, Bex, for your time. I mean, Mel's just put in the chat, she thinks we should all stand up. So yeah, we got to practice what we preach. You know, we could all get up and move a little bit. We've just been sat there for 30-40 minutes. Kind of it was a bit difficult with MS Teams, because then you don't get, you have to kind of angle the thing. That's it. I know we were in a team meeting not long ago, and you had us doing wall presses, didn't you, where we were leaning against walls and squats and stuff. Yes. But the more of us do it, the more normal it becomes. And I certainly, if I ever kind of turn my camera off in a meeting, it's usually because I'm walking around the living room or kind of maybe doing a few squats or whatever. But no, thank you, Bex, for your time. I know you've got a busy day, so I will release you. Thank you again for coming along.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Bex. So up next, we've got Diane Gavin from the Wellbeing team, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about nutrition and healthy eating. So I will mute my mic, and it's over to you, Di.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Thanks very much. So I'll just take a minute to share my screen. I hope we're not going to have any issues, because did have a bit of an issue earlier on, but anyway, let's just give it a go a minute. So just stand up again, everybody, and shake yourself out a minute while I'm just setting myself up a minute. I was going to suggest that, yeah, definitely. Few arm stretches as well. That's it. Bend down, touch your toes. Right. Hopefully. Sure anything's happening yet. Has anybody seen anything yet? I'm not sure that that's worked.
Nothing's come up as yet, Di. Is it showing a sort of screen sharing on your screen, or I'm just wondering, sometimes there's a bit of a delay, isn't there, between
yeah, it's
what you
at
do
the
and what...
moment, yeah, at the moment it's just showing the title for some reason. So I'm not sure if it's doing anything.
We can give it another minute or so. We know we've got it as a backup, so if need be, Shawnee can try and screen share. Do you want to try it, Shawnee? Just see if, because I know you've got the presentations as well.
Sure, one moment.
Let's see if something's happening.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, I think it's just in the process of appearing. Yeah, it's got it just needs to go into slide view, you know, slideshow view, and then I think we'll be away.
Just loading on my end.
No worries. Can you see that as well,
yeah.
Di?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm just loading my presentation, just so I've got my notes page as well. So
No trouble.
just bear with me a second. I thought
That's
we might
all
have
right.
some glitches today. Yeah.
These things often happen just to keep us on our toes.
I've been told I need a new computer, a newer laptop. Yeah.
Yep. Can everybody see that on my end?
Yeah, it's still in kind of you know, kind of not PowerPoint mode at the moment, but it might just be a bit delayed,
so
Shawnee.
it's very delayed then.
Yeah, we can still see the slides down the left-hand side, but don't worry if I mean, I can still read it anyway. I don't know whether others can still see the slide. I can. Oh no, something's just changing again now.
Yeah,
are you just coming out and try and going back in again?
A bit delayed. Better?
Thanks, Shawnee. Yeah, that's it. Just the slide now. And have you got them there for yourself, Di? So you've got your notes and stuff.
Just checking it. Yeah. I think it was still trying to load it in from my machine as well, which is why
No worries.
it was probably thinking, what is going on here?
That's all right.
Yeah, just let me know when you want to change the slide, Di.
Okay, right. Okay, just get my notes up. Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Diane Gavin. I'm a health improvement practitioner with the Wellbeing team. I've worked for Live Well in the Wellbeing team for 9 years, I think now. And a lot of that time I've been working with people, with patients and their weight management during this time. That's partly because obviously national rates of obesity are pretty high in this country, and Plymouth in particular has got quite high obesity rates, higher than the national average in adults and in children. So if you want to change the slide now. So let's first think about, I'm going to start off really with the health benefits of eating healthily. We probably know a lot of these already. You know, it helps, eating healthily helps to reduce the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, reduces our risk of developing type 2 diabetes and other types of cancers. Gives us more energy, helps us to lose weight, it improves our bowel health, it improves our sleep, and it can help relieve stress, anxiety and depression, because there is a link between food and mood as well. So main messages are to enjoy our food, eat a variety of different foods, eat the right amount of food. Our stomach is the size of your two fists, and that's the same for children as well. Quite often these days we feed children as adults, not realizing that they do not need as big a portion as adults. Their two fists are a lot smaller than our two fists. And a big message these days as well is to eat more plant-based foods and less processed foods as well. Okay. So first of all, if we change the slide again, let's have a look at what a healthy diet looks like. So this is public health advice. This is the Eat Well guide. Some of you may have seen this before. And the guide shows how much we should eat overall from each of the food groups to achieve a healthy, balanced diet. The guide divides the foods and drinks we consume into 5 main food groups. And the advice is to choose a variety of different foods from each of the groups to help you get the wide range of nutrients your body needs to stay healthy. You do not need to achieve this balance with every meal, but try to get the balance right over a day or even a week. So if you look at that picture with the different food groups, that's how our overall food intake should look over a week. On average, and this is for a general diet, okay? So on average, women should have around 2,000 calories a day, and men should have around 2,500 calories a day. We all need different amounts of energy or calories from food to be a healthier weight, and how much we need depends on lots of things, including how active we are. So a question may be, does that Eat Well guide apply to everybody? It applies to most of us, whether we're a healthy weight or overweight, whether we eat meat or are vegetarian, and no matter what our ethnic origin. So anyone with special dietary requirements or medical needs might want to check with a registered dietitian on how to adapt the Eat Well guide to meet their individual needs. The only people it doesn't apply to is children under the age of 2, because they have different nutritional needs. But between the ages of 2 and 5, children should gradually move to eating the same foods as the rest of the family in the proportions shown in the Eat Well guide. And we can change the slide now. So we're looking at the green portion first, which is the fruit and vegetable portion. So we should be eating at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables a day. They should make up over 1/3 of the food we eat. And we can choose from fresh, frozen, tinned, dried or juiced. We must remember fruit juices and smoothies should be limited to no more than a combined total of 150 ml a day. So that's like a small glass of smoothies or fruit juice. And fruit and vegetables are a good source of vitamins, minerals and fibre. And most people in this country are not getting enough fruit and vegetables in their diet. So if we change the slide again, we come on to again starchy carbohydrates. So this makes up 1/3 of the overall intake during the week. So most meals should be based on starchy carbohydrates. They should make up over 1/3 of the food we eat, unless you're diabetic, and then you would take the advice of your dietitian diabetic nurse who would probably lower the amount of starchy carbohydrates. But what we want to be choosing is the higher fiber or whole grain varieties, such as whole wheat pasta and brown rice, or simply leave the skins on our potatoes. And there are higher fiber versions now of white bread and pasta. These foods are a great source of energy and the main source of a range of nutrients in our diets as well. So they're a really important food group to keep into our diet. Quite often people tend to think that starchy carbohydrates are not particularly good for you and leave them out of their diet, but they are an important source of, again, nutrients in our diet, and fiber, which is very good for our bowel health as well. So if we move on to the pink section of the Eat Well guide, this is our protein. So we do need to eat some beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, and other protein foods. Again, they're a good source of protein, vitamins, and minerals. And pulses such as beans, peas, and lentils are a great alternative to meat because they're low in fat and they're a good source of fiber and protein too. And cost is a big thing in people's diets these days, and also these pulses tend to be quite cheap as well, so they're great to include in your diet if you're on a limited budget. It's good to choose lean cuts of meat and mince and eat less red and processed meat like bacon, ham, and sausages. And we should aim for at least 2 portions of fish every week, one of which should be oily, such as salmon, sardines, or mackerel. If we move the slideshow on again, we now come to the blue section, which is the dairy or dairy alternative section. So milk, cheese, yogurt, and fromage frais are a good source of protein and some vitamins, and they're also an important source of calcium, which helps keep our bones healthy. Really important food group for everyone, but especially for women, especially as we age, to keep our bone health healthy. You can go for lower fat and lower sugar products if possible, like semi-skimmed, skimmed, or 1% fat milk, reduced fat cheese, or plain low fat yogurts as well with this food group. So if we move on again to the next section, the sections are getting smaller and smaller. So this is just a small section of oils and fats. We do need some oils and fats in our diet, but it's the kind of fats that we choose that are important. So what we want to do are choose the unsaturated oils and spreads and just eat in small amounts. So these include vegetable, rapeseed, olive, and sunflower oils. But we just need to remember all types of fat, no matter whether they're saturated or unsaturated, they're all high in energy and should just be eaten in small amounts. So then if we look at the rest of the Eat Well guide, we will see, we always call it the red triangle foods. These are on the outside of the Eat Well guide. That's because nutritionally, they don't give us any nutrition. So they're foods to have just now and again. These foods normally are high in fat, sugar, and salt. And they include things like chocolate, cakes, biscuits, sugary soft drinks, butter, ghee, and ice cream. They're not needed in our diet, so they should be eaten less often and in smaller amounts. And also that food group includes alcohol as well. We sometimes forget about alcohol, that it contains lots of calories, and nutritionally there's no nutritional value as well. So that's worth keeping an eye on as well. But when we talk about fluid, at the top of the Eat Well guide, it is important that we drink plenty of fluids, and it's recommended we have 6 to 8 cups or glasses a day. So fluids don't need to just be water. They could include lower fat milks, lower sugar or sugar-free drinks, and tea and coffee all count towards the fluid we drink in a day. And again, you know, remembering that fruit juices and smoothies do count towards our fluid consumption, but they do contain a lot of sugar, so that can damage our teeth. So as I said right at the beginning, it's good to limit these drinks to a combined total of 150 ml a day. So if we change the slide again, we just get a recap of what the main dietary messages of the Eat Well guide are. So to eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables every day, base our meals on potatoes, bread, rice, pasta, or other starchy carbohydrates, choosing whole grain versions where possible. Making sure we have some dairy or dairy alternatives such as soya drinks in our food intake, eating some beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, and other proteins, trying to include 2 portions of fish every week, one of which should be oily, choosing unsaturated oils and spreads and eating in small amounts, and drinking 6 to 8 cups of glasses of fluid a day. And if we're consuming the foods in the red triangles, the foods that are high in fat, salt, or sugar, have these less often and in small amounts. It might be worth just stopping there for a moment to see if anybody's got any questions about the Eat Well guide. If not, we can carry on. I know people are always quite interested in what a portion is. So you can see on these graphics, and in a minute I'm going to show you some links where you can get some more information with these. But as you can see across the day, it is advised that you have at least the 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. 3 to 4 portions of starchy carbohydrates, 2 to 3 portions of protein foods, and 2 to 3 portions of dairy alternatives, and a small amount of the unsaturated oils and spreads. And you can see that we actually can use our hands as well for those portion sizes as well. So if we move on again, food labeling, being able to read a food label is really important. So here we can see the traffic light system. So obviously the more reds that are on the front of a packaging, the less healthy it is. So looking out for foods that are amber and green is really good to have a look at those. You can download an app which is really helpful, the NHS food scanner app. That's where you can scan barcodes, and it really quickly gives you a view of how much fat, sugar and salt is in those products. Quite often in the workplace where we tend to have what we call grab and go foods, so ready-made sandwiches, etc. And these are the type of products that it's really good to look at the labels, because it's surprising they can have quite a lot of fat and sugar in them. So I've got some tips here for eating healthily during the workday, and no doubt people have got some other tips, so feel free to put those into the chat bar. There's often birthday celebrations within the workplace, and people tend to always bring cakes, biscuits, etc. So make sure perhaps somebody brings a nice fruit platter in instead. It's great to have an office fruit bowl as well. look at what healthy options you could have if you're lucky enough to have a work canteen these days. Look at the food labels, you know, eat regularly, have regular breaks in the office. If you can and you've got the time to do it, it's great to be in control of your own food and take a packed lunch to the office, not relying on vending machines. And as it said in the Eat Well guide, make sure that you're having enough fluid to drink during the day. So have a think about, you know, how your canteen food providers could provide healthier options, perhaps salad bowls, a healthy dish of the day, have special offers on healthy food. If you're shift working, it's great to try and eat your main meal before you're working and then have a selection of healthy snacks to have during your work time. Has anybody got any other tips that they'd like to share maybe at the office?
Hi, Di. I think
Jenny.
it's really hi. I think it's really important to look at vending machines and what they're offering, and just to sometimes they're on a contract, and when your contract is up for renewal, it's a good opportunity to review the content of the vending machines and making sure that you are putting healthier options in there and not having too many Mars bars and cans of Cokes. Not wanting to mention any brand names there, but just taking that opportunity to have a look and see what's in there and see if you can make it healthier.
The British Heart Foundation have got a really good handout, and British Nutrition Foundation have got a really good handout on healthy snacks. So it's we can put the link for that into the chat bar, and it's really, you know, a good one to look at. And it may be that there's some suggestions there that perhaps could be put into the vending machines or just to have in your office workplace at the same time. So we could move on now because obviously not everybody works in the office now, and some of us are working from home as well. And my experience is a lot of people have a bit of an issue when they're working at home because the kitchen is close by. So it's very tempting to, you know, just go into the kitchen. So I think it's really good to be prepared and have healthy food and snacks in the cupboards and the fridge at home. You know, stick to a routine, don't skip your meals, try and plan what you're going to have and stick to that in advance instead of keep going out and just picking things that may be out there. Great to portion control snacks as well. Again, when you're sitting at a desk, taking those regular breaks and making sure that you're drinking fluid every so often, and also putting that stop sign up sometimes and asking yourself if you are really hungry before you go to the kitchen, because you know, it's really tempting to reach for foods perhaps that are high in fat and sugar when you do that, and you might not necessarily be hungry at all. You might just be fed up perhaps with what you're doing with your work or a bit bored, etc. And sometimes it might just be better to go and have a walk around instead. So we are getting some suggestions as well, I think, in the chat bar. I can't see the chat bar at the moment, so I don't know if anybody wants to share any of those at all at the moment.
Greg mentioned about bringing a bottle of water to work, as it helps you to remind you to drink the water, but obviously a reusable water bottle is always best. Lynn mentioned about prepping lunches helps to make them attractive, so you look forward to eating your lunch. And Jane said make a shopping list and stick to it, and plan meals each week.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's it.
I was just going to say, beware of like healthy snacks like nuts and dried fruit. They are healthier than, you know, crisps or whatever, but make sure you don't have too much of it. Small portion size is key.
So if we move further down on the slides, we've got lunchbox ideas and swaps. So there's a few links to websites there for lunchbox ideas. So healthier food swaps There's a link to lunchbox and ideas and recipes as well on the NHS website, and the British Dietetic Association has again good good link for healthier packed lunches as well. So I know you're going to send these slides out, so they don't necessarily need to be put in the chat bar, do they? But there's some good ones to check out. And also there is an Easy Meals app that you can download as well, which has lots of ideas on there for breakfast, lunch and dinner. If you cook from scratch, it means you're in control of what you're doing and what is in your food instead of relying on processed foods. It's great when you've got time at the weekends, possibly, to batch cook, freeze, so that you can eat healthily and save time when you're busy, or use the leftovers for your lunchbox the next day. You can pick out your own ready meals then out of your freezer instead of, again, relying on processed foods. And again, we've got a slide now with a lot of useful links on it. So the British Nutrition Foundation, that link to getting portion wise. We've also got really good websites to look at the Diabetes UK website, British Heart Foundation website. They've both got very good recipe pages as well. And the British Dietetic Association has some really good food fact pages as well. So, you know, we often get asked what help is available if somebody is thinking about trying to lose some weight. So the NHS do have a weight loss plan, which you can download an app. It's broken down into 12 weeks, and it can help you set weight loss goals, plan your meals, make healthier food choices, and get more active and burn some calories. So that's one to look at. Obviously, there are the commercial slimming organisations that are available as well. And if you look at our 1U Plymouth website, we have details on there as well of what help is available via the Live Well Southwest for people with a healthy weight as well.
It's over to me, isn't it?
I think it's over to you then, Jenny. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, morning. I just wanted to let everybody know that in terms of some evidence for workplaces and a really useful toolkit, there's a physical activity, healthy eating and healthier weight, which has been put together by Business in the Community and Public Health England, or their new name, Office of Health Improvement and Disparities. I don't know who chose that name, but big long name there. Anyway, this is what we use as part of the silver and the gold parts of our Wellbeing at Work Awards. But these toolkits have been written for businesses. They contain information, case studies, guidance. They have contributions from other businesses, small, medium and large. And you can have a look at the toolkit and take some of these tips and hints and implement them in the workplace. So it's a really good resource for you to have a look at. Next slide. Thank you. And this is just an infographic which just sort of talks to you about the fact that you spend, if you work full time, you spend a third of your life in the workplace. So that's a huge chunk of time. And therefore, it's really important, as has been already set out this morning, that you have a look at what you're eating in the workplace and your movement in the workplace as well. Plymouth has got 68.5% of adults who are overweight and obese, and 20.7% of year 6 in primary school have the prevalence of obesity. So it's something we need to take really seriously, and we need to make some changes and put some things into practice in the workplace. So we'd encourage you to have a look at these resources and see if there's something that you can take from there and put into your workplace. Thank you. Next slide. Oh, there's one more. And there's a set of actions here, which again is just what I've just said. You can look at the 3 different areas and hopefully find something there that you can make a small change, a small difference to sort of help make your workforce healthier and happier. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny, and thanks, Di. Yeah, and I think on that last slide that everyone's seeing there is obviously the One New Plymouth website and email address. So if anyone wants to get any more information or wants to look at what services that we provide as a wellbeing team across the city of Plymouth, then you can kind of go to that website or drop us an email for get a bit more information. Like I say, thank you so much, Di, for taking us through that information. Lots in there and lots of links as well. I think, you know, it's good to know that there's a wealth of information out there that's available to us within our places of work, whether that be looking ourselves and putting together maybe our own information, or directing our colleagues to that. I mean, like Jenny said, we spend a lot of our time in work, so I think it's really important that we do our best to kind of create environments and give individuals as best opportunity as we can to eat well and to move more. Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone here today is passionate about these things, so hopefully we've got a bit more information that we can go back to our workplaces with and instigate some change and some positive change. Has anyone got any questions they wanted to ask of Di, or is there anyone that wants to share kind of things they may be doing already in the workplace around healthy eating and moving more? Just pop your hand up or pop some stuff in the chat bar, whatever you want to do, really.
It's interesting that Scott has said it's quite surprised with the portion size of the cheese. Everybody's always very surprised at what one portion of cheese is the size of your
Sad
thumb.
face.
2 thumbs together. Yeah.
Just gonna try and find a way of making our thumbs even bigger. Like, you know,
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
it.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, bless. It is though. You kind of, I suppose we all get into habits, don't we, of eating certain foods in a certain way, and our kind of portion sizes as well. I've always eaten that much, but yeah, it's a good reminder.
Grate the cheese instead. Makes it look a bit more.
Ah, good shout. Yeah, I suppose you could, yeah, cut off the bit that you can have and then grate that, and then you know
Yep, that's it.
you've used the right amount. And meat as well, Mel's saying. A fruit bowl in the office, and we do trim Tuesdays, Clarissa's saying, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nice to keep the stocks replenished. I think sometimes it's about that convenience, isn't it? Like you say, if you get an opportunity at the start of the day to kind of prep some healthy snacks, whether that be slice up some carrots or make sure there's fruit easily accessible, that's half the battle. You know, we live in a world of convenience, don't we? And everything's got to be immediate. And yeah, I think that if we can make those little things beforehand, that should certainly help. There will never be enough cheese.
And as I was saying, with birthdays and celebrations, people always tend to think of they've got to bring cakes, etc. But there's nothing wrong with a lovely looking fruit platter as well.
Absolutely.
For everybody to share, definitely. Or with
Absolutely.
buffets as well, you know, chopped up veg, like you say, some dips or whatever, and fruit as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. And it's about, I think, making that change, you know, like we were talking about with the moving more part of it. Yes, it might be unusual when you're in the middle of an MS Teams meeting to stand up and move around, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And someone's got to lead by example. And the same with that healthy eating. Yeah, if you walk in and it's someone's birthday and you brought fruit and sliced up, you know, vegetables, maybe with a healthy dip, people might initially go, oh, you know, where are the donuts? But so you've got to lead by example and make it more normal. And we all know the benefits that comes from these things. So yeah, no, thank you, Di. Thank you for sharing that information. Anyone got any other questions or thoughts or things they'd like to do, things they're thinking about doing around these particular subjects back at base, back at home? Are we happy? Excellent. Thank you all. Right, well, I have just got, if I screen share again, oh, Mel, yeah, we've got our senior management team meeting tomorrow. You're going to bring some celery. Bless you. Thank you, Mel. I might go and pick up some fruit on the way into the office tomorrow. We'll see. I'll have to avoid the freshly baked goods aisle. It talks to me, so it lures me down there. Right, let me get back to my slides. And there's just a few bits that I'm going to update everyone on from a kind of wellbeing at work point of view, and then I will go and release you all to go and practice what we preach, go and have a healthy lunch and stretch those legs. So hopefully everyone can see the screen again. Just a few things to update you from a Wellbeing at Work Awards point of view. It's just a quick congratulations to Discovery Motley Academies Trust, who achieved their bronze level award a few weeks ago. Obviously, when we get to the next year and we have our Wellbeing at Work Awards kind of conference kind of event, then we'll kind of we'll include them within that and make a bit more of a deal about it. But they've done some great work over there. And it's just to kind of let everyone know that obviously we have a Wellbeing at Work newsletter that gets sent out every 6 weeks. If you don't get those and you'd like to be added to the mailing list, then please contact us, let Shawnee know, and we can make sure when that information gets sent out, then you're part of it. Loads of useful information, kind of in addition to the sort of stuff that we've learned about today, links to useful websites, updates on what we're doing locally and things that are coming up. And sometimes when we get really good case studies come in, it's an opportunity that we can share those case studies. So you get an opportunity to learn what other businesses are doing, what other organizations are doing around health and well-being. We've also got, a bit of an update on our Wellbeing Champions program. It's just been super busy this year. I know a few of the people on the call have been getting staff through the kind of training program that our Wellbeing Champions move through, and all of those training kind of offers have been super busy, and we're now above 500 kind of Wellbeing Champions across the city, which is just phenomenal to know that all those individuals within organizations, some of which are also in communities, are kind of advocates for health and well-being and have been given that sort of what we describe as a kind of foundation of knowledge by accessing those training offers, so they feel skilled up to kind of help individuals to make healthier lifestyle choices. And then also from a wellbeing training point of view, we've had a number of businesses that have been accessing our training over the previous 12 months. EMEC, emotional resilience, community suicide awareness, and Connect 5 sessions. And it was just to let everyone know that we obviously do also deliver kind of some higher level training offers, one of which is mental health first aid. And we've just gone through, I suppose, a restructure around the pricing to make it more affordable and more accessible to individuals. And in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, MHFA themselves have also updated the content to make it a little bit more sort of user friendly. And we're getting some really good feedback from individuals that have attended the MHFA recently. So again, when you get this presentation, you can click on that link, go to our website and have a little look what's available with regards to accessing MHFA and the costs associated with that, because it's we've tried to make it a little bit more accessible to those that would benefit from it. A few things that are coming up. So a few dates for the diary. Obviously, our next Wellbeing at Work webinar is in 3 months' time on Wednesday, the 11th of October. That falls within Menopause Awareness Week. So we're going to go through the Menopause Awareness Workshop. Again, click on the link to book your place, and it will be good to see you there. The following week, we are, for the first time, looking to organise a kind of a health and wellbeing network event. It's going to be a face-to-face event. There'll be probably more information that comes out to our Wellbeing at Work and our Wellbeing Champions networks next week. But essentially, it's going to be a face-to-face event where we want to bring people together from across the city to share their experiences and share the work they're doing around health and wellbeing. And that might be within organisations, but also in communities. So there'll be a number of sort of displays, and we're going to go out to our networks to see if anyone wants to come along and display at that event. But also it's going to be at networking. So there might be some people that just want to come along to see what's going on and to network with others. So yeah, watch out for some more information that comes out within the next week on that. But pop the date in your diary, Wednesday, the 18th of October. It'll be 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock. So it's kind of like most of the day. And then the only other thing we've got coming up this year is on Wednesday, the 22nd of November, there was a gambling harms workshop, which I know we ran one last month. So some of you may have come along, but if you missed out on that occasion, then we've got another opportunity to come along and learn a little bit about the gambling harms and the impact it can have on us all from a health and well-being point of view. So yeah, a few things that are coming up. And yeah, I suppose it's just a case of thanking you all for coming along. We're trying to get I say we, Shawnee, bless her, is the brains behind these QR codes and making it simpler and easier for you to kind of complete evaluation forms. So if you've got your phone handy now, I guess you could hold it up and it might work that way. Shawnee, tell me if that's not the way it works. Or when you get the presentation sent to you later today, you can kind of scan that code and it will take you through to kind of an e-evaluation form.
Yeah, if you scan it right now of your phones, it should work. If not, I will be sending it out in the email as well, but your feedback will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, anything positive and constructive, you know, these sessions are for you. If there's things that you want to see or the format, you know, you feel could be changed to make it more beneficial, then please let us know and then we can make those tweaks going forward. But yeah, a massive thanks to our speakers again, to Bex and to Di and to Jenny at the end there. Have a good rest of the day. Let's go and practice some of those things we've just learned about. Go and move more, go and eat well, and hopefully I'll see you all soon, either in person or at one of those events again in the future on MS Teams.
Brilliant. Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.